Now we got 21 on with the one, now we go 21. 21 on with the one, now 21 on with the one, now 2100, now we go 2100. 2 now 21 on with the one, now 21 on with the one, now 21 on with 21 and 2. Sold at $3,000. What number we got? 409. 409 buys.
Today was a little bit of a tougher day. The folks who maybe would have picked up an extra bull or two to have for their breeding season this year just aren't as willing to put that money down. Definitely with the drought conditions, that has impacted the livestock industry in our area right now.
Last year, the rains just didn't come in Divide County, and the grass dried up, the pastures were gone. It was very dire.
In my lifetime, it probably was the driest year that I can remember. We've had droughts before, but last year was very extreme.
Last summer, when hurricanes were slamming the Gulf Coast, when Montana and many western states were ravaged with wildfires, North Dakota was quietly going through an extreme drought. In the span of about 2 months, it went from ideal conditions to D4 drought. That's the most extreme drought conditions that you can get. It's impossible to say that climate change alone caused last year's drought here in North Dakota. But what we can safely say is that these types of weather patterns we're seeing, they're consistent with what climate scientists' predictions are about what to expect with a warmer climate. Part of what brought me here is that if climate change is going to be changing these weather patterns, it could be affecting farmers and ranchers first and foremost.
That was the one born yesterday morning. Dryland farming is totally reliant on Mother Nature for precipitation. What falls from the sky, that's the moisture that the crop gets.
We need the timely rain in order to make a crop.
Climate change is looking at a pattern over a very, very long span of time. And farmers and ranchers are focused on a much more immediate time frame. They're thinking, when am I going to get the seed into the ground? When am I going to be able to put my cattle out on pasture? I've met people across the political spectrum and across the ideology that surrounds and complicates this issue of climate change.
Climate change, I have a hard time getting my arms around that one. Because farm and ranchers work with the environment day in, day out. And agriculture always deal a lot with variances in weather. There's no constant or no average. It's up and down.
And there's nothing we can do about the weather. The weather is out of our hands. We got to work with the weather.
Being so intimately connected to the weather on a daily basis can sometimes make people think that they can't control these things. Take that one step further, and climate is one of those things. I mean, if you can't control the weather, how could you possibly control climate?
Mama, that is not your baby. Your baby's over there. Here, go over there. I do think climate change is occurring, and in terms of long-term climate change, I think it's something that we have to be aware of and cognizant of. Okay, boy, we are almost out of hay. I don't think we should be sticking our heads in the sand on this. What's frustrating, though, is when you get into the extreme dialogue on both sides that's so polarizing, no one's going to listen to each other, compromise and solutions become lost in the rants.
When you talk about these types of issues, you get major backlash. Why do people here not like to talk about that? Because they don't want the backlash. Like, we're all neighbors, we're all friends here. We work for one another regardless of, I don't care how you vote. It's not a good thing not to be able to reach out and have a conversation.
Many of the farmers that I've talked to here in Divide County are skeptical about climate change.
There.
But they also have a deep, deep connection to the earth, and they are very connected to the weather.
When we're, raising calves, we are out there every single day. So if anybody's an expert on what's going on with the weather, it's probably the people connected to it in agriculture.
It's a spiritual connection to the land, to the wildlife that lives here, to the livestock we raise. It's a way of life. It's not just a job. It's not just a career. And I get emotional about it because you put your soul into this. And Everyone I know in this area, they want to do the best that they can to take care of the land that they're stewards for the time that they're here.
They're going into the season even more dependent on the rains to come than they've ever been before.
You know, even as bleak as it's looking here at the moment, we're still gonna give her the old college try. You kind of follow the same routine every year, and some years you hit a home run and some years you don't.
Whether climate change is really occurring or not, if it is, we better be doing those things to improve our situation. But even if it isn't, we should still be trying to do the best that we can to leave the land a better place.